Hey, gorgeous. I'm so glad that you're here. I wanted to make this video because if you're considering joining Sovereign, then, well, first of all, I wanted to say hi. But more importantly, I think that chances are you're probably having some fear, some hesitation. You might be thinking, this is kind of crazy, and I get it. So, Sovereign is a 6-month container, and it is a Sacred Sexual Priestess Temple. This program, this container, this content really is everything that I have learned and worked through, been certified in for the last at least 5 years, really the last decade. Now, interestingly enough, the term sacred sexual priestess isn't used all that much. So I want to tell you a little bit about what I see a sacred sexual priestess being, what's inside of Sovereign, and hopefully, if it feels good, you'll join us. So to me, the sacred sexual priestess is an energy and an archetype, but also was most certainly a position that many women held across cultures and societies in the ancient world, right? And so she is this intersection of sexuality and spirituality. In her role as a temple priestess in ancient cultures and civilizations, so it would have been the priestesses of Isis and Aphrodite, Venus, these women were seen as the embodiment of the goddess. In ancient cultures and societies, sacred sexual priestesses held some of the highest ranks as women. They had their own money. They were afforded freedom and luxuries that other women at the time didn't have access to. And in my opinion, that is partly because not just the role that they held as a priestess, but because of the level of consciousness and understanding that they had of ancient feminine wisdom or feminine wisdom. And so when the patriarchy came in, and specifically when Christianity became the dominant religion, and therefore, as I always say, the feminine was taken out of the divine. So there were no more goddesses that were being honored. And the divine was taken out of the feminine, as in the female body, the feminine form, feminine energy was no longer seen as divine. When that occurred, again, because nobody was allowed to revere and worship goddesses, sacred sexual priestesses became obsolete. And also at this time, this split happens where women are taught that you can either be good and virginal, and by that definition, meaning not having sex, not having desires, not being deeply connected to your body, or you can be a whore. You can be dirty and sinful, and it's something you should be ashamed of, right? So for the better part of the last 2,000 years, we as women have not had an energy, an archetype, or even women in certain positions who were the embodiment of this interface of the divine, the sacred feminine, and truly embodied as a human, and specifically really embracing the fullness of their erotic and sexuality. And so to me, sacred sexuality priestess work is really this leading edge for leaders and women who know you're meant to have an impact and you want to bring your own unique magic and medicine to the world. And you want to do it in a way where you feel deeply grounded and in your body. I've created this space because for the last 5 years, I've searched for a space like this where I could lean more into the practices and rituals inspired by sacred sexual priestesses from the lineage of sacred sexual priestesses, and be in a container to use that work to fuel my content and my work in the world and to fuel myself. But I never found it. So I taught myself anything and everything I could. And I realized that I'm not the only one who's been really hungry for this work. Chances are you're afraid to fully be seen. And it makes sense. We as women, and especially those of us who are spiritual on this path of self development, we carry this fear of persecution. You're afraid to be fully seen, afraid to be your full expression. You've probably been really interested in the divine feminine or ancient cultures and societies that revered the goddess. And you've probably read a lot like me. I mean, nerd recognizes nerd, you know? But chances are you haven't put a lot of it into practice and you don't feel deeply embodied in it. Over the last 5, 7 years, anytime I would stumble into or find a space that was focused on the divine feminine, so often it felt ungrounded. So often it felt like a lot of what was being taught and the idea of connection was about up and out. And the sacred sexual priestess to me is the model and the embodiment of the feminine initiatory process, which is down and in. So one of the parts of Sovereign is really diving into shadow work. And chances are you might have already done some of this, but we're going to be using pleasure-based practices, sexuality work, to really integrate these parts, the shadows, the unconscious fears, the wounds, so that you're so deeply grounded in who you are. So you're so deeply grounded in your truth. There is one thing I want to make really clear about Sovereign. This is an initiatory program. This is not a certification program. This is not me teaching you my specific structure that you are then certified to go out and use, or that you have to like pass a series of things in order to pass the course. This is not even a priestess training program where you're going to come out and be like, I am now a priestess of XYZ. You may not even resonate with the term priestess, but chances are you resonate with that energy, that essence of seeing the erotic as a pathway and a gateway to spirituality and to consciousness. You really resonate and feel connected to the idea of using practices and rituals woven into your life almost seamlessly to nourish you and fill you up while simultaneously grounding you. Right? So the initiatory process is very different from a certification process. We're going to be going through processes, practices, rituals. There's also an incredible retreat as part of this program. And all of it is going to be about you initiating into your magic, your medicine, your truth. So that when you leave this program, you might go out into the world and create a certification program. Who knows? But it's about you crowning yourself as sovereign. I chose the word sovereign because it means power in oneself. And as women, as products of the patriarchy, we've been told to seek for validation, power, approval, worth outside of ourselves, essentially from the moment that we're born. And this program is about bringing all of that back within. It's a self-coronation. This is not about me then saying, oh, you're worthy enough to go out into the world and do the work that you're meant to do. But it's about building the emotional, energetic, spiritual strength and fortitude to go out into the world and do what you're meant to do. It's about learning practices and tools and rituals to constantly stay regulated in a world that was set up to keep us from our power. This is about giving you everything you need to stay connected to your power. your true full power, which deeply includes your erotic, your sensuality, your sexuality. Which again, for me, when I would go into these divine feminine spaces, none of it was pussy centered. It's all about up and out and connecting to the goddess out there or pulling oracle cards. And it always felt like things were cut off around the heart. There wasn't this deep primal embodiment. And when you fully drop into that, it's intoxicating for you and everyone else. This container is so special and so sacred. And if you're thinking about it and you want to talk about it, see if it's right for you, send me a message on social media, email me. We can go back and forth. We can hop on a call. If you know that this is for you, you can go ahead and enroll right on this page. There's limited spaces available because as part of this container, we have a small group thread with me and all of the other women for daily connection and accountability. You're going to get so much attention and mentorship from me. And then my favorite part of this container is our 5-day retreat in June in southern France, where we're taking one of those days and going to Mary Magdalene's cave. Mary Magdalene is thought to have been, and in my experience and learnings and all of the work that I've done, I deeply believe that she was a sacred sexual priestess from the lineage of Isis. And the last 30 years of her life, she spent in southern France. There's a cave that she meditated in daily. There's a church. What better way to activate this energy within yourself than to go to such a sacred site? So if you're a woman who really is interested, fascinated, wants to dive into this intersection of sexuality and spirituality, that's deeply grounded, that fuses so many things together, that it weaves into your modern life in a way that feels nourishing and grounding, I would love to have you inside of Sovereign. Again, feel free to reach out to me with any questions. If you sign up before December 31st, 2022, there's some bonuses, there's early bird pricing, there's a potential extended payment plan. We begin towards the end of January. We'll have 6 months together. We'll be doing a lot of ritual and practice work. Think of this as Sacred Sexual Priestess Mystery School meets Mastermind. This program is set up to also help you heal your sisterhood wound, your fear of being in community with other women. It's set up to empower you to be the fullest expression of yourself in every area of your life. I'm so excited. And if you've gotten this far, thanks for watching this long video and explanation. And if you're interested, please, please, please send me a message or sign up. All right, my loves, I'll see you soon.